Welcome to the Character Lab. Today, we breaking down how Mary Cooper became a villain. Mary Cooper concealed letters from Caltech, Princeton, and German universities asking to recruit her brilliant son, and she tucked them in her nightstand like garbage mail, not because she believed Sheldon wasn't prepared, because she couldn't face him going. And that right there is the complete Mary Cooper narrative in one action. A woman who constructed her entire existence around safeguarding one kid, leveraging faith to accomplish it, and destroying everyone else in the aftermath. But here's the thing most people overlook. She wasn't always this way, not by a long shot. And the individual she transformed into in Big Bang Theory, that's not who she began as. That's who Lost and Shame molded her into. As someone who's viewed both series more times than I'd ever confess and invested a genuinely embarrassing amount of energy contemplating this family, I've been carrying this for a while, because when you genuinely examine the sequence of what occurs to Mary Cooper throughout both series, you don't just observe a firm Texas mom, you observe a woman who gradually deteriorates mentally. And the tragic part is, the show treats it as humor, so let me explain it to you. Let's begin with something most people entirely miss: Mary's bonds with her additional two kids, because this is where the contradiction becomes systematic, not just sporadic. There's an idea referred to as the glass child. It describes what transpires to kids who develop alongside a sibling with complex, extraordinary conditions. The parent gets so occupied by one kid that they literally view past the others. That's Missy. That's her complete years growing up. She even states it herself in one moment. Her father and Georgie are companions because of athletics. Her mom and Mima are companions because of Sheldon, and she's just present. Nobody's ally, nobody's concern. And the series doesn't even portray it as distressing, it just kind of lingers. And the instances where Missy does get notice, it's nearly always because she accomplished something inappropriate. The Professor Proton photo moment is an ideal demonstration. Missy is plainly troubled, upset, navigating pre-teen emotional struggles, and Sheldon enters and begins bothering her. He literally ridicules her, suggesting maybe her disposition is why she struggles with boys. She reacts and destroys his photo. Who does Mary discipline? Missy, right away. Doesn't investigate why she was sad, doesn't inquire what Sheldon mentioned, doesn't worry. Sheldon's possession was harmed, so Missy is the villain, constantly. And what devastates me is there's this single episode, the twin study, where scientists genuinely reveal Mary information that Missy feels solitary, emotionally abandoned, and hurting because of how much focus Sheldon obtained. Mary observes the information. She experiences regret. She experiences this brief instance of comprehension, and then absolutely nothing transforms. She goes directly back to the identical Hobbit within episodes, because being the guardian of a genius delivers her additional emotional gratification than being the guardian of a joyful, ordinary girl. That's not me being cruel. That's precisely what the series portrays. Now, Georgie. If Missy is the unnoticed kid, Georgie is the one they actively disvalue. Mary describes him as unintelligent as soup, not repeatedly, not as amusement, but as a recurring family assertion that even Sheldon duplicates to his associates in California many years afterward. She and Mima regard him like he's hereditively powerless of delivering anything significant, but the series gradually proves them incorrect consistently. Georgie possesses remarkable interpersonal comprehension. He's a gifted financial organizer. He's managing different tasks as a youngster. He converts a tire operation into a prosperity. And after George Sr. perishes, Georgie is the individual who supports everything together. He protects Missy, provides monetary backing to his grieving guardian, supervises a young child, manages a fresh relationship while continuing to be pretty much a youngster himself. And Mary never informs Sheldon any of this. She permits Sheldon to reside in California, imagining his brother is some irresponsible individual, and she never corrects it. She actively suppresses Georgie's contributions to safeguard Sheldon's standing. That's not affection, that's partiality so intense it approaches cruelty. But currently, here's where it becomes genuinely horrifying. And this is the component that fundamentally modified how I perceive this individual. Mary Cooper didn't discover spirituality through some metaphysical transformation. She negotiated a contract. Throughout the arrival of the siblings, when Missy nearly perished, Mary panicked and promised divinity that if her daughter survived, she'd revamp her complete life. Missy endured, and Mary maintained her commitment. She progressed from being a reckless young woman, imbibing, inhaling, evading, to a rigid, regulation-following Southern Baptist nearly instantaneously. Her spirituality was never about compassion or adoration. From the outset, it was reciprocal. Divinity was a commercial relationship. You adhere to the guidelines. He maintains your household protected. And temporarily, that genuinely functions. In the initial chapters of young Sheldon, Mary is a genuinely nuanced individual. She welcomes Mandy McAllister, a pregnant individual abandoned by her personal guardians, despite it contradicting everything her religious organization represents. She doubts her religious authority. She experiences genuine uncertainties of religion. There's even a segment where Sheldon's clarification of physics assists her reestablish the perception of a higher authority, not via automatic compliance, but via genuine fascination. That Mary, I appreciated that. She carried imperfections, but she was attempting. But subsequently, two elements damage her. Initially, the emotional involvement with Minister Rob. This is the component that generates me genuinely irritated on a reviewing. Mary expends moments tearing into George for becoming too intimate with Brenda, the neighboring resident. She's harsh regarding it, but the complete instance she's experiencing private chat meetings with this youthful, striking minister. She's exchanging her innermost reflections with him rather than her spouse. She's experiencing passionate desires regarding the individual. And when George genuinely discovers her entertaining and conversing with Rob beyond the spiritual building after George journeyed there to astonish her, experiencing concerning his personal behavior, the contradiction is crushing. But in Mary's consciousness, it's wholly appropriate. Because he's a minister, it's faith-based instruction. The spiritual setting constructs it acceptable. That's the strategy she applies her complete journey. If belief is implicated, it doesn't matter. And this establishes the secondary component that damages her. George is perishing. He perishes abruptly at his occupation from a cardiovascular event. No advance notice. No departure. The morning he exits, everything is typical. He communicates, "See y'all afterward," and subsequently, he's gone. Mary never gets to address anything. She never expresses remorse for the emotional involvement, never acknowledges how she undermined him for many years, never gets to express she treasured him in a manner that was significant. That remorse doesn't just inhabit her, it devours her entirely. And what does she accomplish with all that anguish? She conceals it beneath spirituality, but not the merciful, lenient variation, the corrective variation. The variation where if she just begs intensely enough, complies with the guidelines firmly enough, demands her kids to obey forcefully enough, she can regain influence over a cosmos that just extracted her spouse away with no authorization. The immersion moment is when she crosses the threshold for always. Weeks following George perishes, Mary insists that Sheldon and Missy get submerged right away. She's weeping, she's frantic, she's communicating she can't rest unless she comprehends their essence is protected. And here's what constructs it increased terrible. She's a continuous Southern Baptist. She comprehends spiritually that compulsory immersion is meaningless in her personal denomination. Baptists believe in individual immersion. It must be willful. It must derive from individual religion. But she doesn't worry about belief anymore. She needs a ceremony. She needs to feel like she's executed something to terminate the disorder. Sheldon concedes, not because he believes, but because he adores his mom and struggles to witness her endure. He perhaps even dons a protective garment to prevent contamination. Missy refuses and flees out of the sanctuary in anguish, and Mary interprets Sheldon's acceptance as verification that her technique performs. A sincere gesture of adoration from her kid gets converted into divine endorsement that spiritual radicalism generates consequences. That point solidified everything. And the most tragic component? Mima worsened it inadvertently. She communicated the kids to simply go along with it, presuming Mary's faith intensity was momentary anguish that might diminish. It never decreased, because nobody ever resisted forcefully sufficient. Nobody ever articulated, "You've exceeded the boundary." Mima transferred in with Dale. Sheldon departed for Caltech. Georgie initiated his own household. Missy backed away. Mary was left alone in that residence in Medford with nobody to challenge her convictions. The spiritual organization became her exclusive social network. Spirituality became her exclusive dialogue companion. And throughout many years of that remoteness, the complicated, feeling-oriented individual from young Sheldon solidified into the cartoon-prejudiced individual we discover in Big Bang Theory. Mary rewrote George's entire history. In Big Bang Theory, she tells everyone he was a lazy drunk who cheated. But he wasn't. He loved his kids. He declined his dream job to stay. Mary lied because grieving a good man hurt too much. Then there's the Sheldon contradiction. Her atheist son mocks her faith. She forgives everything, sings him "Soft Kitty," flies across the country. But Georgie builds an empire and she calls him stupid. Missy goes through a divorce and Mary barely shows up. With everyone else's religions, she's cruel, mocking Judaism, insulting Hinduism, making racist comments. Her entire moral framework serves one purpose: keeping pain out. Sheldon is the only exception because he's her last connection to the life before George died. Mary Cooper is what happens when a traumatized person grabs onto religion like a lifeline and refuses to let go, even as it drowns everyone around her. She started with real faith. Grief turned it into a weapon. Every cruel comment is a scar. She had every chance to heal. She chose the God that punishes instead of the one that forgives, and became that God for everyone. If you made it this far, and go check out this video right here, trust me, you will love it.